The day they assigned Captain Colebridger to our battle fleet was the day I knew the Galactic Council had officially lost its collective mind. I am Commander Thane Velcora, third-ranked tactical officer of the Velcora military lineage, decorated veteran of 17 skirmishes, and absolutely convinced that placing a human in charge of 43 warships was the equivalent of handing a plasma torch to a child and hoping for the best. But here we are. Commander Thane, right? The human stood in my observation deck, grinning like he had just won some grand prize instead of being handed a near-impossible mission against the Krynn Dominion. He extended his hand, that peculiar human gesture I had read about but never quite understood the purpose of. I stared at the hand. Captain Bridger. Cole, please. We are going to be working together after all. He kept the hand extended, smile unwavering. Humans, I was learning, were disturbingly persistent about their rituals. I touched his hand briefly, the sensation bizarrely warm. Humans run hot, I remembered from the briefing files. Something about inefficient thermal regulation and evolutionary holdovers from their predator ancestors. You understand the situation we face? I asked, withdrawing my hand and folding all 4 of my arms across my chest. The Krynn have pushed through 6 defensive lines in 3 standard cycles. They have ships twice the size of ours, weapons that can crack moons, and a tactical doctrine that has not failed them in 200 years. Yep, Cole walked to the viewport, hands clasped behind his back, staring out at the assembled fleet. 43 ships, representing 12 different species, all waiting for orders from this mammal. Sounds like they are due for a surprise. I felt my secondary heart skip. A surprise? Well, sure. He turned and that smile was back. If something has worked for 200 years, it means they are either brilliant or really, really stuck in their ways. Want to guess which one I'm betting on? This is war, Captain Bridger, not a gambling establishment. Commander Thane, buddy, war is the biggest gamble there is. He tapped the viewport. And I have read your file. 17 skirmishes, 14 victories, 3 tactical retreats. Not bad. But you know what I noticed? I waited, mandibles tight. Every single engagement, you followed the tactical doctrine manual, chapter and verse. Which is great, don't get me wrong. But the Krynn have the same manual. They know what you are going to do before you do it. The doctrine exists because it works, I said stiffly. Sure, against predictable opponents. Cole pulled up a holographic display, fingers dancing across the controls with surprising dexterity. But here is the thing about us humans. We are really, really bad at following instructions. The hologram showed the current theater of war. The Krynn Dominion fleet, massive and methodical, advancing toward the colony worlds of the Outer Rim. Our fleet, small but mobile, attempting to slow them down long enough for civilians to evacuate. The Krynn travel in formation Beta 7, I explained, pointing to their arrangement. Capital ships in the center, destroyers in a protective sphere, fighters on rotating patrol. Standard siege configuration. Right. Very neat, very organized. Cole zoomed in on one of the Krynn dreadnoughts. Very boring. Boring wins wars, Captain. No, Commander. He looked at me, and for the first time I saw something sharp in those strange binocular eyes. Boring loses wars slowly. Different thing entirely. Before I could respond, the comm system chirped. Bridge to Commander Thane. Fleet assembly complete. Awaiting orders. Cole raised an eyebrow. May I? I gestured stiffly to the comm panel. This was his command now, after all, no matter how much my instincts screamed against it. This is Captain Bridger to all ships. I know you have all read the briefing, so I will keep this short. He leaned against the console, casual in a way that would have earned a reprimand in any proper military structure. The Krynn think they know how this fight goes. They think we will meet them head-on, exchange fire until one side breaks, rinse and repeat. They have been fighting the same war for 2 centuries, and they are pretty damn good at it. Silence from the fleet. I could imagine the commanders on those 43 ships species from across the galaxy, all wondering what madness the Council had unleashed. But here is what they don't know about humans. Cole's smile widened. We don't like reruns. So here is what we are going to do. We are going to make them really, really angry. Oh no. Captain Bridger, I interrupted. Angering the enemy is not a recognized tactical objective. Should be. He pulled up a new tactical display. Kira, you there? Present, Captain. The voice belonged to Commander Kira Shentar, a Veloxian who commanded our fastest scout wing. Though I must express concern about the parameters of this mission. Yeah, you and everyone else. Look, I need your wing to do what you do best. Be incredibly annoying. A pause. Excuse me? Hit and run attacks. Burn past their formation, target their sensor arrays, communication relays, anything that looks important. Don't stick around to fight. Just make them chase you. Captain, that is, Kira hesitated. That is against all tactical doctrine. We would be wasting firepower on non-critical systems. Trust me. 2 words. Just 2 words. Delivered with absolute confidence by a species that had joined the galactic community barely 30 standard cycles ago. I waited for Kira to protest further. Understood, Captain. My wing will make them regret waking up this morning. I stared at the comm panel. Kira, who had served in the fleet longer than this human had been alive, was just going along with this? Excellent. Bax. Status on the Hammer-class destroyers? Standing by, human. Commander Bax Grendel, a Thorian who stood 9 feet tall and could crack steel with his bare hands. Though I question the logic of holding heavy firepower in reserve. You will get your chance to smash things, I promise. Right now, I need you patient. Patience is not a Thorian virtue. Then it is a great day to learn new things. Nix, you still awake over there? Barely. Commander Nix Yolan, a shiftkin who apparently found most of existence tedious. Your plan better be more interesting than the last War Council meeting, Captain. I nearly hibernated from boredom. Oh, I think you will stay awake for this. How do you feel about flying straight into a sun? The comm went silent. I felt my primary heart stop entirely. Say again? Nix asked carefully. Well, not into. Near it. Close enough to make them think you are absolutely insane. Captain Bridger. I stepped forward. You cannot ask a commander to risk their ship and crew on a what, Commander? Cole turned to me. On something unprecedented. Something the enemy would never expect. Something that might actually work. On a suicide run. It is only suicide if you die. He looked back at the comm. Nix, your ship has the best thermal shielding in the fleet, right? Correct. We specialize in stellar cartography. Getting close to stars is kind of our thing. Great. So you can survive heat that would fry these Krynn ships like breakfast eggs. A long pause. Then, to my absolute horror, Nix laughed. Oh, I see where you are going with this. You are completely unhinged, human. I'm going to take that as a compliment. You should. I am in. This is the most interesting thing anyone has asked me to do in decades. I looked at Cole Bridger, this human captain with his 2 warm hands and his complete disregard for military protocol, and I realized something terrifying. Everyone was listening to him. Not because he outranked them, not because the council had appointed him, but because in the span of 5 minutes he had made them believe that maybe, just maybe, the impossible was actually possible. Captain, I said quietly, what exactly is your plan? He pulled up the stellar map, highlighting the Caravos system where the Krynn fleet was heading. See this binary star system? The Krynn will pass through it in about 6 hours. Standard procedure, they will give the stars a wide berth, stay in the safe zone. Correct. Any closer and the radiation would damage their ships. Exactly. But what if someone was crazy enough to hide right in the thermal wake of those stars? And what if, when the Krynn fleet passes by, that someone shoots out like a missile and hits them from an angle they never saw coming. I stared at the map. That is insane? Cole offered. I was going to say brilliant, but insane works too. They usually go together. He highlighted several positions. Kira's wing gets them angry and distracted. A chase, breaking formation. Bax's destroyers hit them from the flank while they are scattered. And Nyx comes screaming out of a literal sun to hit their command ship. And the rest of the fleet? We play defense. Protect the colony ships. Make the Krynn come to us on our terms, not theirs. It was mad. It violated every principle of fleet engagement I had ever learned. It relied on split-second timing, on the enemy reacting exactly as predicted, on a dozen things going perfectly right. It was also the first plan I had heard in 3 cycles that did not end with us losing slowly. All right, I straightened my uniform. Let us do this. Cole's grin could have lit up a dark moon. Now you are talking. All right, people, you heard the commander. Let us show the Krynn Dominion why picking a fight with the galactic community was a really bad idea. The next 6 hours were controlled chaos. Kira's scout wing positioned themselves along the Krynn's projected path, ready to dart in and out like stinging insects. Bax's destroyers powered down to minimal emissions, drifting like debris in the asteroid field that bordered the Keravos system. And Nyx, that crazy shift kin, actually flew his ship into a decaying orbit around the larger of the 2 stars, thermal shielding pushed to maximum. Radiation levels are climbing, Nyx reported, sounding far too cheerful about it. Crew is complaining about the heat. Tell them to think cool thoughts, Cole replied, watching the tactical display with intense focus. I did. They told me where I could shove my cool thoughts. Sounds about right. How long can you hold position? Another hour, maybe 90 minutes before the shielding starts to fail. After that, we are cooked. Literally. You will be out before then. I promise. I watched Cole as he orchestrated this mad dance. He paced the command deck, hands moving constantly, pulling up data streams, checking positions, running simulations. There was no hesitation, no second guessing. He had committed to this plan fully. Krynn fleet entering sensor range, I reported. Formation Beta 7, as expected. 47 capital ships, 231 support vessels. Perfect. Kira, you are up. Remember, make them mad. Oh, I have some ideas about that. Kira's wing burst from concealment, 12 sleek scout ships moving faster than anything that size had a right to. They hit the Krynn formation like thrown rocks, targeting exactly what Cole had specified. Sensor arrays exploded, communication relays went dark, and targeting computers scrambled. The Krynn response was immediate, and, to be honest, kind of funny. They are breaking formation, I said, watching in disbelief. Sending pursuit ships after Kira's wing. Told you. Nobody likes being annoyed. Cole leaned forward. Kira, how many you got chasing you? 30 ships and counting. These guys really do not like having their sensors shot out. Keep them interested. Lead them toward the asteroid field. On it. Though I should mention they are getting really close. Like uncomfortably close. Can you outrun them? Captain, I could outrun them in my sleep. This is just getting exciting. The Krynn destroyers pursued Kira's wing deeper into the asteroid field, and I had to admit, the Veloxian pilots were artists. They wove between rocks the size of buildings, pulled turns that should have been impossible, and kept the enemy exactly angry enough to stay engaged but not angry enough to give up. Bax, you seeing this? Cole asked. Affirmative. The Krynn right flank is exposed. Whenever you are ready. Captain, with all due respect, I was born ready. The Thorian commander's destroyers powered up, weapons systems going from cold to hot in seconds. They emerged from the asteroid field like predators, hitting the Krynn flank with enough firepower to crack planets. Multiple Krynn ships disabled. I reported, watching the tactical display light up. They are trying to reform, but they are confused, Cole finished. Good. Nix, status? Thermal shielding at 63%. I am ready when you are. The Krynn command ship, the big one in the center. You see it? You see it? Hard to miss. It is the size of a small city. It is all yours. I watched as Nix's ship, superheated from its proximity to the star, shot out of solar orbit like a bullet, but the thermal signature alone was enough to scramble every sensor in the system. The Krynn command ship never saw it coming. Nix's vessel, glowing white-hot, slammed into the command ship's shield array going a significant fraction of light speed. The shields held, barely, but the impact sent the massive dreadnought spinning. Direct hit. Nix whooped, and my ship is still in one piece. Surprisingly, to get clear, your shielding won't hold much longer. Way ahead of you, Captain. The Krynn fleet, suddenly leaderless and under attack from 3 different vectors, did exactly what Cole had predicted. They panicked. Oh, they tried to maintain order, tried to fall back to doctrine, but their command ship was tumbling through space, their communications were scrambled, and they had angry Thorians shooting at them from one side and manic Veloxians harassing them from another. All ships press the attack, Cole ordered. Stay coordinated, watch your spacing, and for the love of all that is holy, do not get cocky. The battle lasted another 47 minutes. When it was over, the Krynn fleet had retreated, leaving behind 16 disabled ships and 1 very damaged command vessel. We had lost 0 ships. 0. The command deck erupted in cheers from the skeleton crew present. I stood there, staring at the tactical display, trying to process what I had just witnessed. Cole walked over, that insufferable grin still plastered across his face. So, Commander, still think following the manual is the way to go? I looked at him. This human who had arrived less than a standard day ago and had just pulled off a victory that should have been impossible. Captain Bridger, I said slowly, I think you might be the most dangerous person I have ever met. I will take that as a compliment too. It was meant as one. He laughed, and I found myself doing something I had not done in 3 cycles of brutal warfare. I laughed too. This was just the opening move, Cole said, turning back to the viewport. The Krynn are going to regroup, they are going to adapt, and they are going to come back angry. And what do we do then? Then, Commander Thane, we get creative. I followed his gaze to the stars beyond, where the Krynn fleet was limping away to lick its wounds. For the first time since this war began, I felt something I had almost forgotten. Hope. Captain, the colony ships are signaling. They are asking about evacuation protocols. Tell them to hold position. We just bought them some time. Cole pulled up a star chart. In fact, tell them to start unpacking. We are not running anymore. Captain, the Krynn will send reinforcements. This victory, impressive as it was, cannot hold against their full might. Maybe not. But we are not going to sit around waiting for them to show up. He zoomed in on several systems marked in red. Krynn supply lines, refueling stations, communication hubs. They have been expanding so fast they have left themselves vulnerable. You want to go on the offensive? I want to make them defend for once instead of attack. Keep them off balance, force them to protect their assets instead of pushing forward. It was aggressive. It was risky. It was completely against standard defensive doctrine. It was also exactly what we needed. I will begin planning strike operations, I said. Actually, I was hoping you would help me with something else. Oh, dear. Cole pulled up personnel files, hundreds of them, representing the combined crews of our 43 ships. I need to understand these people, their strengths, their quirks, what makes them tick. You have been doing this for years, Commander. I have been at it for about 8 hours. I looked at the files, then at Cole. You want me to help you learn about the fleet? I want you to help me lead it properly. Look, I can come up with crazy plans all day long, but you know these people. You know what they can really do. We make a good team, I think. A team. A human and a Velcora working together to fight a war neither of us had chosen, but both of us were committed to winning. Very well, Captain. Where do we start? Let us start with the Thorians. Bax mentioned something about a traditional war ceremony they do before major engagements. I think participating might be good for morale. Captain, the Thorian war ceremony involves ritual combat and consuming fermented plant matter that is toxic to most species. Is it toxic to humans? I do not know. Great. Let us find out. He headed toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Commander? Thank you. For what? For giving me a chance. I know this was not your choice. I considered that. Perhaps not initially. But after today, I would not choose differently. His smile was different this time. Softer, genuine. That means a lot. As he left the observation deck, I turned back to the viewport, watching our fleet hold position around the colony worlds. 43 ships, 12 species, one human captain who had just changed everything. The war was far from over. The Krynn would come back stronger, angrier, more determined. But for the first time, I believed we had a chance. Not because we were stronger or better equipped, but because we had something the Krynn did not expect. We had a human, and humans, I was learning, did not know when to quit. 3 standard weeks after our first victory, I discovered that humans have approximately 7,000 ways to prepare caffeinated beverages, but Cole Bridger had opinions about every single one. See, the secret is in the temperature, he explained, holding up a steaming cup of what he called coffee. Too hot, you burn the beans. Too cold, you might as well drink dirty water. I stared at the dark liquid, my olfactory sensors registering compounds that should not exist in anything meant for consumption. Captain, we have a briefing in 3 minutes. Right. He took a long sip, closed his eyes like he was experiencing some profound spiritual moment, then grabbed his datapad. Let us go terrify some admirals. The War Council chamber was full when we arrived. Admirals, commanders, and strategic officers from every member species, all gathered to hear about our recent operations. 3 weeks, 12 engagements, 11 victories, and 1 tactical withdrawal that still somehow resulted in destroying a Krynn supply depot. The council was pleased. Also confused. Mostly confused, Captain Bridger. Admiral Ventel Kesh, a Kronar with enough medals on his chest to deflect small arms fire, gestured to the holographic display. Your results are impressive. However, your methods remain highly irregular. Thank you, sir. I think that was not a compliment. The Admiral pulled up our last engagement, where we had convinced the Krynn that one of our frigates was a heavily damaged command ship by having it broadcast false distress signals. When the Krynn sent a boarding party, they found the ship rigged to explode. This tactic violates the Warfare Conduct Accords, Section 12, Subsection 4. Cole leaned back in his chair. Does it, though? I checked. Section 12 covers false surrender. We never surrendered. We just let them think we were having a really bad day. The spirit of the law, Captain. Admiral, with respect, the Krynn have killed 40,000 civilians in the last month alone. I am less concerned about the spirit of the law and more concerned about stopping them before they kill 40,000 more. The room went quiet. I had learned that humans had this ability to cut through political maneuvering with uncomfortable truths. It made them terrible diplomats and occasionally brilliant warriors. Admiral Ven's expression hardened. Your point is noted. Continue your briefing. Cole stood, pulling up tactical displays. The Krynn are adapting faster than we anticipated. They have started varying their formations, randomizing patrol routes, hardening communication systems. Whatever advantage surprise gave us, we are losing it. So your unconventional tactics are no longer effective? Another admiral asked, sounding almost hopeful. Oh, they are still effective, just less dramatically so. Cole zoomed in on the Krynn territory. But we have learned something important. The Krynn Dominion is not a unified military force. It is a collection of clan fleets, each led by a war master, all competing for glory and resources. I stepped forward. We have identified 7 major clan fleets. They coordinate through a central command structure, but there is significant rivalry between them. A rivalry we can exploit, Cole added. The Krynn value honor and combat prowess above everything else. Lose a battle, you lose status. Lose enough status, your clan gets absorbed by a stronger one. You want to turn them against each other, Admiral Venn said slowly. Not turn them against each other exactly. Just encourage their existing tensions. Cole's grin was back. We have been hitting targets across multiple clan territories. Some clans are losing more assets than others. Some are getting more victories. The rankings are shifting. And shifting rankings mean instability, I explained. Which means mistakes. Which means opportunities. Admiral Venn studied the display, mandibles working thoughtfully. This strategy relies on intelligence we may not have. Cultural knowledge, clan hierarchies, political dynamics. Already on it. Cole pulled up a new file. Turns out we have someone in the fleet who spent 10 cycles studying Krynn sociology before the war started. Dr. Lana Price, human academic turned tactical consultant. She has been advising us on which targets will cause maximum political damage. A hologram appeared, showing a human woman with gray-streaked hair and an expression that suggested she found the entire universe vaguely disappointing. Gentlemen, ladies, and non-binary colleagues. The Krynn social structure is fascinatingly rigid and also completely insane. They make decisions based on a point system that factors in glory, honor, and something they call blood weight, which near as I can tell is entirely made up. Dr. Price, Admiral Venn said carefully, "Are you suggesting we base military strategy on cultural analysis?" "I am suggesting we base it on the fact that the Krynn would rather die than look weak in front of their rivals. Hit the right targets, embarrass the right clans, and they will do half our work for us." One of the junior officers spoke up. "This seems dishonorable. Manipulating cultural traditions for military advantage." Cole turned to face the officer, and his expression went flat. "You know what else is dishonorable? Orbital bombardment of civilian centers, mass executions, forced conscription of conquered populations. The Krynn have done all of that, and worse. So forgive me if I do not lose sleep over hurting their feelings." The room went silent again. I had noticed this pattern. Cole could be friendly, casual, even joking, but when it came to protecting people, he became something else entirely. Something hard. "The plan proceeds," Admiral Venn declared. "Captain Bridger, you have operational authority to continue as you see fit. Do try to avoid starting any diplomatic incidents." "No promises, sir." As the War Council dispersed, I followed Cole out into the corridor. "You made an enemy of that junior officer." "Probably. But I made a point, too." He rubbed his eyes, suddenly looking tired. "I hate this Thane. All of it. The politics, the posturing, the fact that we are even having debates about whether it is okay to fight dirty against people who massacre civilians. War is complicated, Captain. War is simple. Protect your people, stop the bad guys, try not to become a bad guy yourself in the process." He stopped walking, leaning against the wall. "Back on Earth, before I joined the space program, I was a teacher. 4th grade. 9-year-olds who still believed the world made sense. This was new information." "You taught children?" "Yep, math, science, how to share crayons without starting a fistfight. It was a good job. Quiet. Safe." He smiled sadly. Then the Krynn attacked the colony on Teller's world. I watched the reports. 50,000 people just gone. And I realized that nowhere was safe anymore. So I joined up, took every test they threw at me, and ended up here. Leading a fleet against impossible odds. Leading people I care about into situations where some of them might not come back. He looked at me. "Ma." That junior officer, the one who called me dishonorable. He is not wrong. I am asking everyone to bend rules, take risks, do things that go against their training. If we lose, I am the villain. If we win, I am the hero. same actions, different outcomes. I considered this. And which would you rather be? I would rather be the teacher who never had to make these choices at all. He pushed off the wall. But since that is not an option, I will settle for being the villain who saves lives. Before I could respond, the ship's alarm blared. Red lights flashed along the corridor. Bridge to Captain Bridger. We have a situation. We ran. The bridge was chaos when we arrived. Officers shouting reports, tactical displays lighting up with warnings, and in the center of it all, a transmission from deep space. What happened? Cole demanded. Lieutenant Kess Warren, a Silith who normally maintained perfect calm, looked rattled. Captain, we are receiving a distress call from the mining colony at Helios station. They are under attack. Krynn? Yes, but Kess pulled up the tactical data. Sir, it is not a raiding force. It is a full invasion fleet. 30 capital ships, hundreds of support craft. They are not trying to destroy the station. They are trying to capture it. I felt my heart sink. Helios station has a population of 90,000. If the Krynn take it, they will have 90,000 hostages and one of the richest mining operations in the sector. Cole finished. He turned to the tactical display, fingers flying across the controls. Time to intercept? 4 hours at maximum burn. But Captain, our fleet is scattered across 3 systems. It would take at least 6 hours to assemble everyone, so we show up outnumbered and outgunned. Significantly so, yes. Cole stared at the display for a long moment. I could see the calculations running behind his eyes, weighing options, considering possibilities. Send out the recall signal. Tell everyone to rendezvous at Helios as fast as they can burn. He looked at Kess. How many ships can we get there in 4 hours? 12, maybe 14 if we are lucky. 14 ships against 30 plus. Wonderful. Cole pulled up the station layout. All right, we cannot win a straight fight, so we will not have one. Thane, I need you to think like a Krynn. If you were invading this station, what would your priorities be? I studied the layout. Secure the command center, control life support, eliminate resistance quickly to minimize damage to the infrastructure. Right. So they will send boarding parties, probably keep most of their fleet in a defensive perimeter. He highlighted several points on the station. What if we make the boarding parties the problem? Explain. What? The station has internal security systems, right? Glass doors, atmospheric controls, emergency force fields? Yes, but they are designed to protect against accidents, not military assault. So we upgrade them. Kess, get me a channel to Helios Station Command. And somebody find me an engineer who knows how to turn a mining station into a death trap. The next 4 hours were a masterclass in controlled panic. Cole divided our small fleet into 3 groups. The first, led by Commander Kira, would harass the Krynn perimeter, trying to draw off ships. The second, heavy destroyers under backs, would position themselves to intercept any Krynn ships that tried to bombard the station. The third, our fastest ships, would attempt to land assault teams directly on the station to support the defenders. Meanwhile, Cole was on a comm link with someone named Engineer Thomas Ridge, a human who apparently specialized in what he called creative infrastructure modifications. So you are telling me, Thomas said, his voice crackling over the connection, that you want me to weaponize a civilian mining station in less than 4 hours? Can you do it? Oh, I can do it. It is going to violate approximately 60 safety regulations and probably void the station's insurance, but I can do it. I will take that as a yes. I listened as Thomas began issuing instructions to the station's maintenance crews. Reroute power here, seal blast doors there, rig mining lasers to fire on command. It was insane and desperate and possibly brilliant. Captain, I said quietly, even if we fortify the station, we are still heavily outnumbered. The Krynn will overwhelm us eventually. Eventually is the key word, Commander. We do not need to win. We just need to not lose long enough for reinforcements to arrive. And if reinforcements do not arrive in time? He met my eyes. Then we make the Krynn pay for every meter of that station in blood. Make it so expensive they give up and leave. The Krynn do not give up, Captain. Then we will teach them how. We dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Helios system, and the sight that greeted us was grim. The Krynn fleet had formed a sphere around the station, capital ships maintaining position while smaller craft swarmed like insects. The station's shields were still up, but weakening. I could see impact scars across the hull where Krynn weapons had tested the defenses. All ships, battle formation, Cole ordered. Kira, you know what to do. Make them angry. My specialty. Kira's wing accelerated past us, diving straight into the Krynn formation. Weapons fire lit up the void. Backs. Position your destroyers here, here, and here. Cole marked positions on the tactical display. When the Krynn moved to engage Kira, I want you ready to hit them from behind. Understood. Though I should note, we are still outnumbered 3-1. I can count, Commander. Just make every shot hurt. The battle began in earnest. Kira's scouts danced through the Krynn formation, too fast to hit, too annoying to ignore. Several Krynn destroyers broke formation to pursue, exactly as planned. Backs, you are clear. Light them up. The Thorian destroyers opened fire, heavy weapons tearing into the pursuing Krynn ships. 2 exploded immediately. A third spun away, trailing atmosphere. Direct hits. Backs roared over the comm. These Krynn bleed, just like everyone else. Stay focused. We have got a long fight ahead. I monitored the tactical display, watching our small fleet try to hold off a force 3 times our size. It was working, barely, but the math was brutal. For every Krynn ship we disabled, they damaged 2 of ours. Captain, the Krynn are landing boarding parties on the station, Kess reported. Multiple breach points across the outer hull. Good. Thomas, you ready down there? The engineer's voice came through, sounding entirely too cheerful. Oh, we are ready. Tell those Krynn to please proceed to docking bay 7. We have prepared a welcome for them. I pulled up the station's internal sensors. Krynn soldiers, heavily armed and armored, were pouring through the breaches. They moved with military precision, securing corridors, establishing control points. Then they reached docking bay 7. The blast doors slammed shut with enough force to crack the deck plating. Atmospheric vents opened, flooding the bay with mining gases, corrosive and flammable. Emergency lights began strobing at frequencies specifically chosen to disorient Krynn vision. And then the mining lasers, those massive industrial tools meant to cut through asteroids, began firing. The screams over the Krynn command frequency were extremely satisfying. That is for the civilians on Teller's world. Thomas shouted over the comm. You want this station? Come and take it. The Krynn adapted quickly. They began avoiding the prepared kill zones, taking alternate routes, moving in smaller groups. But every delay, every detour, every moment spent fighting through the station's defenses was a moment they were not securing their objective. Station defenses holding, I reported. But Krynn reinforcements are landing. They will break through eventually. How long can the defenders hold? Best estimate? 40 minutes. Cole checked the tactical display. Reinforcements are still 90 minutes out. We need to buy more time. How, Captain? We are already giving everything we have. He looked at the Krynn command ship, that massive dreadnought coordinating the attack. Thane, you remember what we did at Karavos? The thing with Nyx and the star? Yes? What if we did something even crazier? I felt a sinking sensation in my primary stomach. To define crazier. What if we rammed them? The bridge went silent. Captain, Kess said carefully, ramming is a suicide tactic. It is only suicide if you are still on the ship when it hits. Cole pulled up schematics of our flagship. We evacuate the crew to the other ships, program an automated collision course, and turn this entire vessel into the galaxy's most expensive missile. That is, I searched for words. That is absolutely insane. Thane, would it work? I ran the calculations. Our flagship, moving at full burn, would have enough mass and velocity to cripple even a Krynn dreadnought. It would work. But we would lose our command ship. Ships can be replaced. People cannot. He turned to the crew. Everyone, listen up. We are about to do something monumentally stupid. If anyone wants to object, now is the time. Silence. Then Kess spoke up. Captain, if we are evacuating anyway, can we set the reactor to overload on impact? Really make it count? Cole's grin was fierce. I like the way you think. Engineering, you heard the officer. Prep the reactor for catastrophic overload. The next 20 minutes were organized chaos. Crew evacuated to escape pods and transport ships. Automated systems were engaged, collision course plotted and locked. I stood on the bridge with Cole, watching the crew depart. You should go too, he said. Captain, I am your second in command. I stay until you leave. Stubborn Velcora. Insane human. We waited until the last crew member was clear, then headed for our own escape pod. As we strapped in, Cole took one last look at the bridge. She was a good ship. She will have a good death. The escape pod launched, and we watched through the viewport as our flagship accelerated toward the Krynn dreadnought. Automated weapons fired. Point defense systems tried to stop it, but the ship was too large, too fast. The impact was beautiful and terrible. The flagship struck the dreadnought amidships, armor crumpling, hull breaching. For a moment, both ships hung suspended in space, locked together. Then the reactor went critical. The explosion lit up the entire system, a miniature star blooming in the void. When it cleared, the Krynn dreadnought was gone, along with 6 other ships caught in the blast radius. The remaining Krynn fleet wavered. I could imagine the commanders, suddenly leaderless, trying to decide what to do. All ships, press the attack. Cole ordered from the escape pod. Do not give them time to regroup. Our fleet surged forward. The Krynn, still reeling from the loss of their command ship, began to retreat. Not a rout, not a panic, but a measured withdrawal. They are leaving, Kess reported from her new position on one of the destroyers. Station is secure. Civilian casualties are minimal. And our casualties? I asked. Surprisingly light. 12 dead, 34 wounded. It could have been much worse. It could have been. If we had arrived 5 minutes later, if the station defenses had failed, if the Krynn had not retreated. If. Reinforcements dropping out of faster than light now, another officer reported. All fleet elements accounted for. Cole let out a long breath, the tension draining from his shoulders. Good. That is good. Our escape pod was recovered by Bax's destroyer. As we stepped out, the Thorian commander was waiting, grinning from ear to ear. Captain Bridger. That was the most gloriously insane thing I have ever witnessed. My crew is already singing songs about it. Please tell me they are flattering songs. Extremely, though they do take some creative liberties with the physics. We made our way to the temporary command center Bax had set up. The destroyer's bridge was cramped with all the displaced command staff, but it would do. Damage report, Cole requested. Kess pulled up the data. 6 ships heavily damaged, 15 with moderate damage, 2 destroyed. The Krynn lost 23 ships total, including their command vessel. Acceptable losses. What about the station? Structural damage to outer sections, but life support is intact. Engineer Ridge is already coordinating repairs. He wants to know if you would like him to make the weaponized modifications permanent. Absolutely. Every station in the sector should have the ability to defend itself. I studied the tactical display, watching Krynn ships retreat beyond sensor range. They will be back, Captain. This was a defeat, but not a crushing one. I know, but we bought time. Proved that we can stand against them. Cole pulled up long-range scans. And maybe, just maybe, we showed them that humans do not give up. Over the next several days, something shifted in the war. Dr. Price's intelligence proved accurate. The Krynn clan that had led the failed assault on Helios station lost significant standing. Internal conflicts erupted as other clans maneuvered for advantage. The unified front they had maintained began to crack. We exploited every crack ruthlessly. Admiral Venn gave us operational freedom, and Cole used it to launch a campaign of systematic harassment. We hit supply lines, raided outposts, destroyed communication relays. Never a decisive battle, just constant pressure, keeping the Krynn off balance. And slowly, impossibly, we began to win, not through superior firepower or technology, but through adaptation, through creativity, through the absolute refusal to fight the war the enemy expected. 6 months after Cole took command, the Krynn Dominion requested a ceasefire. Not surrender, they would never surrender, but a mutual cessation of hostilities, a return to pre-war borders, an agreement to respect neutral zones. The War Council gathered to discuss the proposal. Most wanted to refuse, to press the advantage, to punish the Krynn for their aggression. Cole voted to accept. They are beaten, he argued. Not militarily, not yet, but politically. Their clan structure is fracturing. If we push too hard, we force them to unite again. But if we give them room to fight among themselves, they will be too busy to threaten us. You would let them escape justice? Admiral Venn demanded. I would prevent more deaths. On both sides. Cole stood, addressing the council. The goal was never revenge. It was protection. We protected our people. We secured our borders. We proved that aggression has consequences. That is enough. The vote was close, but the ceasefire passed. 3 days later, I found Cole in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. You are troubled, I said, just thinking. About the people we lost. The ones who did not make it to see this day. They died protecting others. That is an honorable death. Maybe. But I keep thinking about their families, the people who will never see them again. He turned to me. You know what the worst part is? I am good at this. At war. At tactics and strategy and all the things I never wanted to be good at. You saved thousands of lives, Captain. I also ended hundreds. Krynn soldiers following orders, just like us. He smiled sadly. Do not get me wrong, I would do it all again. But that does not mean I feel good about it. I placed one hand on his shoulder, a gesture I had learned from him. The war is over, Cole. You can go back to teaching children about mathematics and sharing crayons. Can I, though? The galaxy knows my name now. People will expect things. Then tell them no. You have earned that right. He considered this, then nodded. Maybe I will. Maybe I will find a quiet colony somewhere, open a school, try to remember what peace feels like. That sounds like an excellent plan. What about you, Thane? What will you do? I looked out at the fleet, at the ships representing dozens of worlds, all working together. I think I will stay. Someone needs to make sure the next crisis is handled properly. And if there is no next crisis, then I will make sure it stays that way. We stood together in comfortable silence, human and Velcora, warrior and teacher, watching the stars. The war was over. But the galaxy had changed. Species that had never worked together now coordinated fleets. But tactics that had been considered impossible were now standard doctrine. And everywhere, in every military academy and command center, officers studied the campaigns of Captain Cole Bridger, the human who had changed everything, not through force or technology, but through the simple refusal to accept that some things were impossible. As for me, I returned to my duties with a new understanding. The manual was important, doctrine had its place, but sometimes the greatest victories came from being willing to try something new. Even if that something was monumentally, gloriously, stupidly insane. And if I occasionally caught myself grinning like a human when faced with impossible odds, well, that was just another thing Cole had taught me. The war that changed the galaxy ended not with a massive battle or dramatic surrender, but with a quiet agreement signed in a neutral station. Peace, it turned out, was something humans were willing to fight for. And once they started fighting, they were very, very hard to stop.